Welcome back to my channel. I'm James. Today I've got another exciting reviews and we're going to be deep diving into Avatar and Avatar The Way of Water Collector's Edition 4K Ultra HD sets. Now these were sent to me for review from 20th Century Studios, and I do really appreciate them reaching out to me and sending these to me for review so that way I can dive into and compare these to the previous 4K releases for all of you and let you know the quality of these. But just because something was sent to me for review, it never changes or affects my review score or my testing data and results. And I'm going to be comparing the 4K images to the previous 4K releases to let you know, are these new collectors and extended edition sets worth buying and upgrading if you previously bought these releases? Are these worth the price of admission? I'm going to share everything that I discovered through these, tell you what the differences are between both sets, and what the actual image quality is that I pulled directly from the native images on each and every one of these 4K discs. And I'll be showing you up above side by side how the 4K images compare. And this video will be your one-stop shopping guide for everything Avatar on 4K to give you all of the information for you to make an informed decision about what set you should own and what set you should have in your collection. Now, I did just want to touch on this at the beginning here so that way all of you understand. I've shared this recently, but I've been really struggling with sickness on top of my actual nerve damage, severe nerve damage that I live with, and pain. I actually got COVID and I've had it for almost 3 weeks now and it's been getting worse. I've really been struggling. The doctor says I keep getting new symptoms. Now I'm having trouble, can't hear anything out of my left ear and have severe pain through my ear. And that's on top of all the severe nerve damage and pain that runs through the left side of my body as well. So I've been really struggling. I had to take a massive amount of codeine to be able to film this video and try to finish this for all of you. But I had promised that I'd do this for all of you, so I'm working as hard as I can to get this completed for all of you, so that way you have a comprehensive guide on if this set is something you should buy and add to your collection. Just understand, I am doing the best I absolutely can. It has been extremely difficult and it has been an extremely bad sickness. So if I don't sound the same and don't have the same level of energy, it's just simply I can only do so much with drugs to try to give me some false sense of energy when I'm filming this video today. Now, it's very important that if after you get done watching this video and hearing my review score that you decide to buy any of these editions of Avatar on 4K. I've put the direct Amazon sale links as a pinned comment in the comment section right below this video. It never costs you, the viewer, a penny extra when you click on those links, but they are very important for me to be able to continue creating videos just like this. They're very time consuming and expensive for me to create, and the only way I can continue to do it is with you, my viewers' support. By clicking on those Amazon sale links down there below, never costs you anything extra, but it does make a big difference to these videos and this YouTube channel. So make sure if you decide you're going to buy any of these releases, always use those direct Amazon sale links I posted right down there below. Now to start off with here, I did previously review and test the previous Avatar 4K release. If you have not checked out that video, it's available right now here on my YouTube channel. I did have some issues with this previous 4K release, and if you've watched that video, you'll know I went into some of my testing and results, and there was some things that needed fixed on the 4K release for it to get a higher review score from me, because they were things that did slightly bother me when I was watching it. Well, from that previous review, I was very curious if they were going to fix those things in the new 4K release, and if it was going to be something that I noticed an increase in image quality that made it a worthwhile addition or upgrade. Now, I'm going to briefly touch on that it's very important to watch these videos on a 4K TV, a full-size 4K TV that is hopefully professionally or correctly calibrated. That is the way to get the best image comparisons that you can see. A phone and tablet do not present a natural native 4K image in the correct display the way it's supposed to look. Whereas hopefully if your 4K TV is a high-end 4K TV and you've had it professionally or correctly calibrated, you will get the best viewing experience to determine what the difference is between this 4K and the previous 4K. So that's why I always tell everybody it's very important to watch these videos on a full-size 4K TV. Now, in comparison to the collector's extended edition 4K release of Avatar, you will notice some things right away when you see those image comparisons above, especially if you're watching them on a correctly or professionally calibrated 4K TV. The image does have a more refined color palette, and that's specifically because for all 3 cuts of the film, they got brand new Dolby Vision and HDR10 masters. So each and every one of the cuts in this film does have Dolby Vision on it and HDR10. Whereas the previous 4K release only had HDR10, there was no Dolby Vision present on it whatsoever. Now, on the previous release, they did not include either of the extended cuts of the films. So you did miss out on those completely on this previous release. So that's one up for this new set automatically. Not only do you get the Dolby Vision and HDR10 masters for the theatrical cut, as well as both extended versions, but on this one you didn't get the extended versions at all. My favorite version of Avatar is the extended version that's 178 minutes long. And that's roughly 18 minutes longer than the theatrical cut that was released in this previous version. So that 18 minutes, there is a ton of additional footage that expands the story, expands the characters. Really, to me, it fleshed out the universe so much better than the theatrical cut did. And that's my favorite version. Now, I can tell you the Dolby Vision on it does add a nice layer to it. But to give you some statistics so you understand the difference, the new Dolby Vision Master looks roughly 7% better color tones, color palette, lights to darks. Whenever you're in low light scenes, it does look a bit better. But again, we're talking about roughly 7%. So I wanted to make sure to give you some ideas so you understand in your mind what you're looking at. It's not going to be something that's, 30, 40% better looking, but it's enough that if you have a high-end, professionally calibrated 4K display, and you put them both in, and you put one in, you watch some scenes, then you go back and you watch this with Dolby Vision, you will notice it. And it is enough that I said to myself, I do like the Dolby Vision transfer a lot better than I did the HDR10. Now, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you never miss out on any of this exclusive content that I release here on my YouTube channel. Now, there was another big thing that I talked about in my previous review of the theatrical release of Avatar. On that, it had some slight haloing around a lot of the characters. In some of the special effects scenes, we were to have a live actor kind of with a background behind him that would cause a haloing effect. When they released it on 4K, it made that worse. There was things that it bothered me because I noticed it even worse where there was haloing around a lot of characters. If you knew what you were looking for, and I showed a lot of it in that previous review if you want to know exactly what it is, I did all the screen comparisons to show you in that video, but that's where this had a nice improvement that I was very surprised about. As I said before, they went back and did brand new Dolby Vision and HDR10 masters, but they didn't just stop there. They actually worked on it a little bit because there is noticeable things. The haloing does not look anywhere near like it did on the previous 4K release. It is much more detailed in this without the haloing around all the characters' heads and faces. Now, when you get to the fully CGI'd scenes, as I explained in that previous theatrical release, when I reviewed that, the CGI scenes where it's fully CGI didn't have any of that haloing problem. That's simply because of how they created the special effects with the live actors and then having the CGI backgrounds. It basically got worse when they transferred it to 4K, and it's very evident when I'm sitting down and watching them side by side that this one, they've gone and fixed a lot of that and actually gotten rid of a lot of the haloing to where it was hard for me to find a lot of it. And it has a much more pleasing image on this release that, to me, regardless of any of the other upgrades, you get the Dolby Vision, which I did enjoy, like I said, about 7%. But having the haloing be gone because it really irritated me, as I explained in that previous review of the theatrical release, having that gone made this a very enjoyable watch for me because I didn't have any of those things where those technical anomalies were drawing me out of the picture. And to be honest with you, that alone to me was a nice selling point. Now, here's where I have to talk about some negative things about this release. Now, I said I like the extended cuts of the film. The only downside is on the extended cuts of the film, we get an English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 mix. You do not get Dolby Atmos for the extended cuts of the film. You only get that for the theatrical cut version. So I understand that's the way it was released originally when I owned it in the extended version before on Blu Ray, but I really wanted to have Dolby Atmos for the extended versions as well. And maybe this is me being nitpicky, but to be honest with you, I would have loved if they would have done Dolby Atmos along with the Dolby Vision Master that they did for the extended cuts, because it would have made it the absolutely best way to listen to and to watch it. Now, it obviously is the best way to watch it, visual quality wise. The 4K image getting rid of a lot of those haloing effects, then working with the transfer, and obviously making it look the best it has with that Dolby Vision. Those are nice improvements, but I really wanted Dolby Atmos for the extended versions, and instead we get an English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. So if you want the immersive Dolby Atmos experience that was a really great Dolby Atmos mix, you could only watch the theatrical cut. Now, here's where there's some slightly other negative things. The way they did this release is it's actually seamless branching for each cuts of the film on one 4K disc. Now, thankfully, Disney didn't cut corners and put it on a BD100, so they gave it the biggest disc possible. But I would have preferred to have them each on a disc of their own instead of being all contained on one disc itself. Because there's one slight negative. Now, do I think it affected the image? Not that I could see, because overall it still looked better on the previous theatrical release because of the Dolby Vision Master and them fixing the things with haloing. But on this previous 4K release, we had a rough average bitrate of right around 58 megabits per second on this, because there was only the theatrical cut on it. They didn't have the other cuts of the film contained on the same 4K disc. Now for the collector's edition 4K, for the rough average bitrate on that, for all three cuts of the film, they were right around 53 megabits per second. So what that tells me is we lost a little bit, just about 5 megabits roughly for each cut of the film we lost in comparison to the previous theatrical 4K release. So I knew there had to be some corners cut simply to get it to fit all onto one 4K disc. But again, even with that, the image still looks better in all those different areas than the previous theatrical release. So I'm not going to come back to watch the theatrical release on this 4K, because I do like that Dolby Vision and the fact of that haloing that I absolutely hated. Them fixing a lot of those issues and ironing out basically the transfer. It's kind of like what Sony's been doing recently, where they re-released them with Dolby Vision Masters, brand new Dolby Vision Masters. That's what they did with this. They went back, did some tinkering with the transfer, fixed some things that were complaints on the previous theatrical release, and made this the best looking and the best version of Avatar that's ever been released. Now, I've got another negative I've got to share with you. Talking about the packaging, I did like the outside packaging. It's a very thick, sturdy outside cardboard case, kind of like what Arrow Video does. And when it arrived from 20th Century Studios for review, I was pretty excited with the outside packaging. It's very nice, very thick, has obviously the Avatar symbol on the side, and I like how those match up. When you hold them side by side, each version of Avatar, the A's match up perfectly. I do like that, how it looks on the bookcase. And then on the back, it talks about all the special features. I will touch on those here just for a minute. For this new special collector's edition, it does have a massive amount of special features that were not included in the previous theatrical 4K. You get everything that was in this previous theatrical 4K, as well as everything that was included in the extended 2010 collector's edition Blu Ray release, all included in this set, along with a bunch of new ones. So literally they included every single special feature, extended scenes, deleted scenes, behind the scenes, cast and crew interviews, looking back, all of these types of special features. Every single thing you ever wanted to have is all included, and it truly does make this the ultimate edition special features wise as well, because you're not missing out on anything, including the mini documentaries, as well as some of the commercials they were going to release originally that they never did, kind of like mockumentaries of living in the world of Avatar. Those are all included in this set too, and they were never available, any of them, on this previous 4K release. Now, here's the negative. When you take it out of here, as I said, it does have this really nice thick cardboard case, and I really did like the outside cardboard case. But what I would have wanted them to do is include a regular 4K case in here with leaflets that would have been more stable for the disc and wouldn't have caused the issue I had. You get this booklet inside, and basically it has the same on the side, different artwork on it. It's really metallic and shiny, and it's pretty looking. And I do think they did a good job with the artwork on it. It is magnetic, so it's a little hard to get open. Once you get it open, more character photos in it, very pretty artwork. But my issue is how the discs are contained. So they're in these very difficult to remove sleeves. The discs sit down in here and they are hard to get out. You actually have to use your finger holding the bottom side of the disc. When you do pull your disc out, I will tell you it will have residue on it. Now, thankfully, as I talked about in my how to properly clean your 4K disc video, if you haven't watched that video yet, you're going to want to have those exact claws and do it the exact way I explained, it'll take the residue that's off the disc without scratching it or damaging it at all. I cleaned each and every one of the discs after I took them out. There was no residue or damage remaining on it when I cleaned them the way I explained in that video. But I don't like having to clean something, and I don't like the residue that's caused by the glue they use to hold this together. I understand they're trying to do something more artsy, and it does have a very, very pretty, like, just look at that. I mean, it's a very, very nice and pretty looking artwork, but it's not great for the discs. And I would have loved if they would have had just a regular 4K case in there with like a booklet that would have had the artwork on it. That way the disc just snapped in, because this is not great. It's very difficult to get the discs out. So that did slightly affect my review score as well, because it was something that I said, if they would have used a different casing, I wouldn't have as many issues, because every time you take these out, you're going to have to clean those discs the way I explained in that video, because you're going to have residue on them. As far as the actual release goes itself, I'm still happy it was released, because I love that extended cut so much more than I like the theatrical cut. And the improvements they provided on it, once you clean the disc, you're enjoying that with no issues whatsoever. And that's where I said, that's what I'm looking for what they did on the transfer. And it was definitely worthwhile what they did, fixing a lot of those issues I had with the previous theatrical release. Now, as I've shared before on this channel, I test all of these 4K releases on 4 different 4K displays. Now, 3 of them are high-end, professionally calibrated 4K displays, and I list some of the equipment I use in the description section below every video. But I have one TV that I've never professionally or correctly calibrated on purpose. It's a low-end and cheap Vizio. It does have Dolby Vision on it, but I on purpose have never professionally or correctly calibrated it to see what people get when they buy something at like Walmart that's a cheap TV, or Target. It's a very low quality and cheap TV. I can tell you when I was watching this on that TV, and then I was going back between my high-end, like my LG Evo OLEDs, there's a big difference. I could not notice on the Vizio nearly as much of the improvements as I could on my high-end professionally calibrated displays. And that's something that's very important to understand. 4K equipment is drastically affected what you watch and what you see if your TV is professionally and correctly calibrated, as well as if you have a high-end 4K display. Just because you might buy a cheap or low quality 4K display does not mean you are experiencing the 4K the way it was intended to look. So I just wanted to point that out, that was something I did notice. On that cheap Vizio that I have, it was not nearly as noticeable as on my high-end 4K displays, where I could very easily see the differences. Now, touching on the English DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 that's in both extended versions of the film. It's a very strong, active, and very good audio mix. But it still, to me, does not beat the Dolby Atmos mix at all. Now, getting to my review score. For Avatar, the Collector's Edition Extended Edition on 4K, for the first time ever on 4K, this gets a very good 9.0. Some of those things that I wish they would have ironed out, like the casing in here being just something I really don't like at all. Love the outside box, I just don't like how the discs are stored. And some of those other things that I wish they would have included Dolby Atmos for the extended cuts. But then again, they did fix a bunch of the things and issues that I had with the theatrical 4K release before. And if you remember this review score, this one did get an 8.3 for the theatrical cut, because of those issues that I had with this transfer. Thankfully, this is an improvement. That tells you how much of an improvement it is. If you want to watch my previous review of the theatrical cut, it's available right now here on this YouTube channel, so you know the differences between them. This one got an 8.3, and this one gets a 9.0. And that lets you know how much of an upgrade and improvement this is, visual quality wise. That Dolby Vision was very nice on this. And it's a very enjoyable new transfer. But a lot of people might say it's for fans only, and it kind of depends. You have to ask yourself, how big of a fan of Avatar are you? Do you want a double tip? Is 7% and some of those other things I explained enough of a worthwhile upgrade? Obviously, if you want the extended cuts, this is the only way to watch them. The extended cuts on this blow away how they looked on the previous Blu Ray releases, and you get the same visual quality that you had on the theatrical cut that's in this, with all of those improvements included on the extended cuts. So you get a very nice 4K image on the extended cuts. If you want any of those plus any of the special features, which there's a massive amount of them, this is a must buy for fans of the film you gotta buy this and add this to your collection. It's a very good 4K transfer. Now, if you decide you're gonna buy or add either of these to your collection, make sure to use those direct Amazon sale links I posted right down there below. Those are very important. That's what helps me to be able to create all this content here on my channel. Never costs you a penny extra when you click on those links, but it does make a difference. So make sure if you're gonna buy either of these, use the direct Amazon sale links right down there below. Next up, we have Avatar: The Way of Water. This one, we also get a brand new Dolby Vision and HDR10 master. And I will tell you that for this one, it's very similar results in a lot of areas to the previous Avatar. But in some areas, it's quite a bit better. For example, this one has roughly a 9% better color tone, color palette, that appears richer and more refined than the previous 4K release. I was actually surprised because on the previous Avatar, that one was about 7%. This one looked a full 9% better, and it actually had a better looking image than the previous Avatar. Including its theatrical cut, this one did have a much more noticeable improvement in image quality. For example, low light scenes are clearer, cleaner, and easier to see things in with more depth and detail than on the previous 4K release. If your TV is professionally correctly calibrated, you'll easily see the difference if you own both of them or you get both of them. I was surprised because what they implemented with that new Dolby Vision and HDR10 master they did for this, they really refined this to make this look the best I've ever seen Avatar: The Way of Water. I was really surprised because just like what I talked about with the other Avatar release just a few minutes ago, this one though outshined that one image quality wise, and this one was even a bigger improvement that did surprise me that they did even more for this one image quality wise than they did for the previous Avatar. But the good news doesn't stop there. On the previous theatrical release, it had a rough average bitrate of right around 45 megabits per second, and the theatrical release of this only had HDR10 on it. For this new Dolby Vision transfer and master they did, this one gets a surprising upgrade in its rough average bitrate. And with the new Dolby Vision, we get a healthy 56 megabits per second, which is a whole 11 megabits per second higher rough average bitrate than the previous 4K transfer that only had HDR10 on it. Now, in this case, because it's 11 megabits per second, you do notice the image has much more depth and detail in it that's more stable, which lends to why that Dolby Vision Master as well has much more range as far as the color palette goes, and it just looks healthier of an image, and you do notice some slight more details throughout. Now, talking about some other bonus things we get in this collector's edition set. You also get an additional 5 hours roughly of additional special features, behind the scenes, extended scenes, deleted scenes, production design. All of that hasn't been released before and is included on this set. And it's a lot of extra content. I said almost 5 hours of stuff to dive into and watch. So they didn't just throw it on here with the new transfer. They went into the archives and brought out a ton of new stuff. And they also filmed some new stuff for this release to make this a more valuable release. So I know I've gotten a lot of questions saying, doesn't it stink that Disney released, here so many months ago, the previous theatrical release, and now they're double dipping a few months later? Here's my thoughts on it. Yes, it stinks that it wasn't released this way originally, but did I think they were going to do it? I thought to myself, if they could find enough of a reason and they could make it enough of an upgrade, they would. And to be honest with you, this is enough of an upgrade that I'll never watch this theatrical version again. And to be honest, I liked all the new special features, almost 5 hours worth, that it really did make this the ultimate edition to own, that if you like Avatar, Avatar: The Way of Water, in any shape or form as films, you'll really want to own these collector's editions simply because they are really the ultimate collector's editions. They've got everything you're ever going to want about the films on them. And the new Dolby Vision transfer on this one was such a nice and healthy improvement that I noticed things even more so than I ever noticed on this previous transfer, and I thought this one was pretty dang good. Now, showing what you get in this one again, you get this really nice outside hard boxing. Has the same thing on the side where I said it has the A on it that matches the other one. Talks about it on here. And then when you get inside, this is the booklet you get for this one. It has on the back here different artwork. And then when you open it up, it's magnetized as well. Has really nice character photos on it. I really liked how shiny metallic they are. But again, my nitpicking issue is I really do not like these cases. It's the biggest downfall for this. I personally think if they would have put them in anything else, collectors would have been much happier with this release, and it is an issue because just like with these, I had to take them out and clean them because there was sticky residue. Once I got it off, there was no scratches or damage, but I will tell you, make sure you clean them the way I explained in that video. It's very important to use those exact claws because I didn't scratch or damage my discs at all. Though I will tell you, after you clean these, because of the sticky residue, you are going to need to wash them by hand, those claws, like I explained in that video. You're going to need to wash those claws. Don't use them again on other discs because that sticky residue is still on those claws. They need to be hand washed and dried, so that way you can use them on another 4K disc later on. But once I cleaned them, they were fine, but I really just don't like the casing. But I do love the artwork on it. Again, it's absolutely beautiful artwork on it, and I do think they did a nice job with the artwork. Now, touching on the English Dolby Atmos mix, we get the exact same English Dolby Atmos mix as we did on the previous 4K release. So the amazing Dolby Atmos mix that we enjoyed on this previous release, you get the same thing on this, but higher rough average bitrate, better looking image, better color tones, overall, more depth, more detail. That made this a surprising upgrade. I did not expect this to be an upgrade in any shape or form really over the previous theatrical release, because I thought maybe they're just going to plaster on Dolby Vision and not really do anything with it. But I can tell you, all of those things are noticeable when you switch between discs, especially if you have a large high-end 4K display. You put each disc in and your TV is professionally calibrated, you will notice the differences, especially like I said, go to some low light scenes. Man, the Dolby Vision master and transfer they did on this really makes those low light scenes look really great. Getting to my review score. For Avatar: The Way of Water on 4K Ultra HD in this collector's edition set, this gets a beautiful 9.3. This is a must buy. You need to buy and add to your collection, though I will preface it. It is based on how much of a fan you are of the films. If you don't care about Dolby Vision, you don't care about special features, you don't care about increases in image quality, then if you own the previous theatrical release, maybe just keep your theatrical release if you're not that big of a fan of the film. But for fans of the film, if you like Avatar at all, these truly are must-own, must-buy collectibles for all James Cameron and Avatar fans. They are enough of an upgrade, let alone all the extra stuff we get. That makes it something that is a great collectible to have in your collection and to watch because there's enough extra content to justify buying this again and double dipping. I don't think it really mattered if they would have waited 3 months longer to release this. I'm glad they didn't, because I don't like when studios wait forever to release if they're going to release extended cuts or they're going to give us, like in this, all the special features with Dolby Vision. I'm very happy that 20th Century Studios and Disney is working with James Cameron to release these in Dolby Vision, because they are the ultimate ways to own and watch Avatar on 4K. Now, I am going to touch on the digital versions here for a minute. I have seen a lot of folks that are sharing a lot of misinformation that don't understand the difference between a physical 4K Ultra HD 4K release and a digital version. No matter what digital service you get it from, they are always dumbed down, poor versions of what you get on the 4K disc. So I've seen a lot of misinformation going around about Aliens and The Abyss and True Lies. And it all comes from people that are watching digital versions. It's just like what I talked about with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I compared that when I was watching it to the digital version to get an exact difference. As always, the digital versions are very poor and do not hold a candle to what you get on a lot of these 4K Ultra HD discs. It was just like Indiana Jones. The digital version of it was nerfed. It was very poor. It had no LFE. The sound was very poor. It didn't use the height channels very much. But on the physical 4K disc, it was an amazing looking and amazing sounding Dolby Atmos. It honestly had some amazing LFE and used the height channels wonderfully in the physical disc, whereas the digital version did not. But a lot of people don't understand that. They think when it comes out on digital, it's the same as what you get on the physical discs. It's not. The physical discs, most of the time on 4K, simply annihilate and blow away all of the image quality and sound quality on digital services. If you truly are a cinephile, you like films, or you like collecting movies. You need to stop spending all your money and wasting it on digital. Start collecting some of these amazing films and amazing transfers on 4K, so that way you can truly experience them on your home theater that you spent so much money for, instead of watching the dumbed down and poorer versions on digital. Because you spent so much money for your home theater. Let's say you got a nice Dolby Atmos home theater setup and you got a nice high-end 4K display. Why are you wasting the time playing these poorer versions on digital than actually spending the money and owning the actual premier way to own and watch the films? These will surprise you how much better these look than the digital versions do. You'll be amazed at the depth and detail that simply annihilates the digital versions in every single area. Once you start down that path, come back to this channel, watch more of these comparisons. You will find yourself addicted to seeing the ultimate upgrades that you get in the physical 4K editions. You'll never want to go back to digital. You'll realize you wasted so much time on poorer versions that you could have saved your money and actually bought the physical copies and enjoyed them in a much better image and sound quality. Now, if you decide you're going to buy either of these Avatar releases, I know they are having some issues right now with supply. They are going to be restocking them soon. I will put those direct Amazon sale links right down there below. But it's very important that if you do decide you're going to buy these, make sure if you can't get it right now, come back to this video. Click on those links down there below. Support this video. That's the only way I can continue to do this, is through you, my viewers and subscribers support, through using those direct Amazon sale links down there below and joining my Collectors VIP Club. That VIP Club only costs you, the viewer, $1 or $2 every month, but it drastically makes a difference in me being able to constantly create all of these videos that you enjoy watching here on my channel. They take me a ton of time and work, so it's very important when you decide you're going to buy this, if you decide you're going to buy this, use those direct Amazon sale links I posted right down there below. Start the conversation down there in the comment section below. Let me know, are you excited for these releases now? Now that you know the exact differences in image quality, sound quality between each of these releases, are you excited to buy them? Are you going to buy them? Start that conversation down there below. Let me know, have you gotten your TV professionally or correctly calibrated? It will make a difference in what you see and experience, and it is something I recommend you doing. Now, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. As always, I truly hope all of you have a blessed day. I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I'm working really hard to get this video out for all of you, and I hope you've appreciated it and enjoyed this video. As always, I'll have something new, early, exclusive, and exciting coming out very soon.